So, when we think about life and future and mastery, it all starts in the mind. So, what exactly is burnout? How can I tell the difference between ordinary stress and full blown burnout? What is the difference? And you just said. Welcome to the Mastermind Institute, where we celebrate mastery. And welcome to our first episode. And I want to thank Dr. Ricardo Whyte for his presence. And I want to know more about you. I want to know what is your burning desire to come today and speak about mastery. Let us know more about you.
All right. So, yeah, thank you for the intro, Sandra. So, I am Dr. Ricardo White. I am an addiction psychiatrist, and I am so passionate about mastery because mastery is how you gain control of your life and you travel the journey to your dreams. This is how you escape confinement and sort of the imprisonment, and you move towards the dream that you have for yourself. So I have worked 20 years as a psychiatrist, seeing over 20,000 patients, and I've really gotten to see what works and what doesn't work. And I am in love with the idea that you can conceive something, you can have an idea, and then you can act on it and bring it into reality. That to me is earth shattering. And I'm really excited about investigating all parts of that process. So happy to be on this journey with you, Sandra.
So, you are passionate about the mind.
No
So, do you,
question.
do you think that it all starts with the right thoughts? When someone thinks about, because sometimes we think about what's possible. Sometimes we constrain ourselves thinking of, I don't think it's possible for me. I don't think I have enough to invest in this. I'm not sure because people think about what's happening around them. And so they kind of limit themselves and their action and their beliefs. So when we think about life and future and mastery, it all starts in the mind. What are your thoughts?
I'll even boil it down to one word, a question. I believe we sometimes are asking ourselves the wrong questions. And the right question will literally put you on the right track. So, one of the most powerful things you can do is make sure you're asking the right question. So, what's an example of the wrong question? Example of the wrong question: Am I good enough? Why does no one love me? And I'm not even so sure how bad those questions are. The real thing a question is supposed to do is position you to gain clarity. That's what a question really is supposed to do, position you to gain clarity. And there are questions that don't do that at all. Why don't people love me? Are there people who do love you? And could it be there are some people who it doesn't matter if they love you, whereas there are some people where it does matter if they don't love you? So, are you even asking about the right people? So, that's one of the most powerful things that we can do is we can make sure we're asking the right questions. And that passionate commitment to ask the right question puts you in very good company. Because Albert Einstein is said to have said, if he had 1 hour to get out of a life-threatening situation, he would spend 55 minutes identifying the right question, and the last 5 minutes just answering the question. That's how critical he's saying identifying the right question is. So that's the first question I'd pose to the viewers. Are you asking the right questions? Are you asking questions that position you to empower yourself and to propel yourself to your dreams?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, how important is awareness? You spoke about awareness. Are you aware that you are asking the right questions? How can we really gain more awareness of how we are thinking?
Well, a critical tool in aware and gaining and increasing awareness is writing, is writing. We tend to be so busy. We have such a hard time slowing down our thoughts that we've gotten to a space where it's hard for us to journal. It's hard for us to write. And the power of writing is it externalizes your thoughts to a context where you can interrogate them. It's hard to interrogate something that you can't even be sure exists because it's so fleeting. It's like it comes and it goes and it's gone. But when it's written down, now it's chiseled into eternity. No, it's there. I was thinking that. And it really puts it now in a setting where you can now ask, is that true? Is there veracity? Is there truth to that? I can interrogate it. I can wrestle with it. I I'm Who has ever written down their thoughts and come back to it days later and you were shocked you were actually thinking that? You struggled to believe you were thinking that. Imagine if you hadn't written it down. So, in terms of enhancing awareness, one of the most powerful ways is journaling. Is journaling. And I'll give you a little bonus tip. I would invest more time in journaling your dreams, journaling the dreams that you're having, because it could be your mind, your body is trying to tell you something. I'm not going to be I'm Christian and I'm just going to own that. That's just going to be out there. Part of what I really want to do is I want you to know who I am. So I'm not really going to just back away from it. No, I'm Christian. You just want to know that. That is my bias. That is, so put it out there. It is what it is. Love me, leave me, it's all good. But I'm Christian,
I'm
right?
with you.
And not just that, I believe in God. I'm not going to talk about the universe. I'm going to be clear. I believe in God. Okay. And I do feel like one of the things God can do is he can communicate with you through dreams at times. So sometimes it's God, but sometimes it could be your mind because your mind is incredibly powerful and it can re-represent reality to you in a mode that you can better appreciate it. And that's why it can be high yield to document your dreams, document what's happening. You might be missing really important messages. So now, when you take the time to document your dreams, it positions you to start seeing patterns. And you can start seeing, hey, I'm noticing a pattern. This keeps coming back, and it's worth thinking about because could it be you are receiving a
Yeah.
message that could be meaningful to you? And
Mm.
I'll just end with, you and I both know that the brain is doing tremendous processing at night to the point where you will often wake up with eureka. You'll wake up and, oh my goodness, that's I now have some clarity in this area. Or I gotta be careful of this person. That's really, I don't like what they did. So there's some incredible things happening at night. This is why we at the Mastermind Institute champion you making sure you're respectful of your sleep so that you can harness these gifts that you're given on a nightly basis.
Absolutely. And another thing is our subconscious mind works on our behalf, right? That's why it's so important to think about what we really want. If we have a question, if we have a doubt, think about that question. Think about what you need to find the answer. And as you said, during nighttime, Eureka will come and give you the answer. Or when you wake up in the morning, you can find that answer. And sometimes it's so easy when you use the power of your mind. So, Doc, you told us that you worked with more over 20,000 patients, and now you are exploring, helping, supporting people online. So, what is your goal? What is your passion? Why are you now helping, supporting people online? Tell us more about it.
Well, in working with 20,000 people, one of the things that I saw was what is it that helps versus what doesn't work. And it led me to develop a system that I trademarked called the Seven Vitals. And what I'm seeing is so many people don't even know their vitals. Now, as a psychiatrist, I had formal medical training. I am a physician. So I worked in settings where we are obsessed with our physical vitals. We are obsessed. Hey, what's your blood pressure? What's your heart rate? This was an important part of the presentation when we were presenting on patients as a medical student. And because those vitals are important. Well, could it be there are things that we are vitally connected to outside of just physical vitals? And what are those things? And what's the danger of not knowing what those vitals are? So there's this myth about being balanced, walking around and, you're balanced. Okay, I got this balance, I got this. So it's a myth though. if, if you're going to achieve anything of consequence, your life is going to get out of balance at times. So the problem is not getting out of balance. The real issue is rebalancing. It's rebalancing. Now, how are you going to rebalance if you don't even know what the seven vitals are? Imagine driving a car but ignoring some of the dials. And it's okay to ignore certain some of the dials, but not if it's a vital dial. Like imagine ignoring the dial that tells you how much gas you have. You're going to have a problem. Imagine ignoring the dial of the check engine light. These are not good dials to ignore. you know so you want to know what they are. And so what I did was I built a program and an approach to coaching around these seven vitals. So helping people be aware of them, but then designing an experience in them so that people can move with speed towards mastery and peak performance. And that's what I'm excited about.
Thank you. And one of the things that you deal with, and most people relate, is burnout. And I'm so curious about burnout because many people struggle to distinguish burnout from ordinary fatigue, ordinary stress. And gaining a clear definition can really help us to take the first step toward proactive management of the symptoms that lead to burnout. So, what exactly is burnout, and how do I know I'm experiencing it?
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So there are a few ways to think about burnout, but I do love simplicity. So the word that you can think of immediately when people talk about burnout is the word overwhelm. Overwhelm. Okay. And then what exactly is overwhelm? Overwhelm is when your resources are overwhelmed by the demand. All right. We love being on the cutting edge. So a lot of times we talk about stress, and when I say stress, you often will think about distress, but you won't. And distress is dealing with overwhelm, okay, where the demand is overwhelming the resources that you have, whether it's your skill sets, whether it's different assets, but it's overwhelmed. But there's also eustress. Eustress is when your resources can accommodate the demand. And that's our cutting edge, and that's where we like to be. And I say, Sandra, I'm coming to the Azores 6 months from now. I'm bringing my family, and we would really be excited about an awesome meal. And so, in addition, Sandra, I'm sending $5,000, so that you can get all the things that you need. Some can even be left over to get yourself something nice. And don't worry, you're not going to have to put us up. We're actually going to stay at a hotel. We've got all of that covered. But and we'll be there for about a week. Look at everything I'm giving you. I'm giving you the resources. I'm giving you notification. You've got 6 months to plan and arrange your schedule. I'm on, and it's something you love to do. Okay. So your resources can accommodate the command. That's on your cutting edge. Contrast that with, hey, Sandra, I'm in town. And you're like, where? I'm in the Azores. I'm here with 50 people and we are starving. We're starving. I don't know what you got planned today, but yeah, we need a meal for about 50 people. And we're also out of money. We don't have any money. Your stress level has just skyrocketed. And I've strained the friendship. It's probably not going to survive because you're like, this person's crazy. And I've got to set boundaries against his kind of insanity. And you're probably going to be like, there's a McDonald's right around the corner. And
Kentucky
I
Fried Chicken.
recommend there's a there's a KFC right around the corner. The best I can do is I can give you $50 to $100, but there's nothing I can do. Today's my family day, and I'm sorry, you didn't give me a chance to make any accommodations for you. Okay, one example of that was eustress, good stress, and the other was distress. Okay, and inviting her to get into overwhelm. So she's probably going to set a boundary and she's going to sidestep that overwhelm, leave me in my overwhelm, and she'll be just fine because she set the boundary. And that's a long way to get, but I want to paint the picture of what we're talking about with burnout. With burnout, we're talking about overwhelm. And then the other thing you want to be aware of is a lot of times when we're talking about mental health disorders, it's occurring on a spectrum. It's occurring on a spectrum. In other words, you're going to have light burnout, and then you're going to have severe, overwhelming burnout. Okay. It's occurring on a spectrum. There's burnout that can lead a person to want to end their life. All right. And then there's a different kind of burnout. What am I talking about? For example, if you really pay attention to it, by the end of the day, your resources are spent. You ever see people driving home? Like, especially if you've got a workplace, people are like speeding out of that parking lot. Nobody's lingering. Everybody's in the zone. Sometimes I'll watch people like leaving, the hospital. They're in the zone. Okay. I'm out of here. In a sense, they're kind of burnt out. It's like they're spent. That's all they have, and they're leaving. And then in the process of going home, their battery is refilled. They're associating with the people that they love. They're being reminded of why they do the work that they do. They're getting a break. They're getting a break. So their batteries are being recharged. They're eating a meal. They're spending time with their loved ones. They're going to get a good night's sleep. And they're ready to come and deliver yet another day. You see that? So
Yeah.
technically, at the end of the day, they were kind of burnt out, sort of, but their energy was restored. Now, it's not really burnout. Okay, let me confess that because one of the symptoms of burnout is it's hard to recharge. The usual things that would recharge the battery don't work.
Yeah.
And
I was
truly, when a
going to
person
I was
and
going to
truly
ask
when a
you
person
that.
Yeah, truly when a person is burnt out, like they actually need quite a bit of time away. They need extraordinary restoration. So let me just make that distinction.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Sandra?
I was going to ask you, how can I tell the difference between ordinary stress and full blown burnout? What is the difference? And you just said you need a different source of refueling, of nourishment, of sleep, or because you need to restore, but not as you usually do. And
It's like now you need almost like industrial level restoration.
yeah,
Like if you've ever seen buildings that get, it's one thing for you to spill some water on the floor and you can mop it up, and it's another for there to be water damage.
yes,
Okay. Now you got to go beyond just the little mops and buckets. Now, a professional restoration company has to come in and do what they do. Get that big old fan. They got to rip into the walls and they got to like put that fan on and it's drying stuff up. So super annoying, by the way. But it's like you need industrial level support, enough
Mhm.
tinkering around, and that's kind of how it is with burnout. When a person is burnt out, a lot of times they got to pull themselves away from that thing. They got to be away from it for a while. And they often will need professional support coming in to help them restore and get back to their baseline, get back to their normal level of functioning. So excited that you could spend this time with us as we more and more share with you the ideas that we think are going to be so helpful as you commit yourself to transforming your life. Make sure you follow us, be sure to subscribe. Some of you may have some issues and things that you're struggling with and want some consultation. And so there will be a link so that you guys can pursue consultation with me. Of course, I'd be honored to serve you. And look for the next episode where we are going to continue this journey with you, helping you master your mind so you can master your life. Till next time.